Today we're gonna try all 8. Some dropouts in the mountain bike. So are longer chainstays actually better? This is a common question in 2025. A great way to answer that question is with the new Pivot Firebird. The outgoing bike is amazing. I love that thing, and it has most of these features here, including the half degree of head tube adjustment via this chip on the seat stay. The new Firebird has 2 new adjustments. At the bottom of the shock, you can flip this chip around to get 5% more progression to make the bike harder to bottom out. And more importantly for us today, the chainstay length is now adjustable by a full 8 millimeters. That's quite a bit. This is a really fun video, and before we get into it, I wanna ask you just 3 quick things. First up, if you like my videos here, every month we do a full-length video, but we only post it to my Patreon page. There's over 50 videos up there at this point. Pop on over there, have a look at those, and I think you're really gonna enjoy them. Next up, over 60% of you are not currently subscribed to my channel. Please hit that red subscribe button below.
Now.
And finally, as you need to do your online shopping to support your mountain bike habit, please start your sessions via my links in the description below. It's a huge part of how I'm able to make this channel keep going.
Thank you.
All right, let's jump into the video.
I started riding a Pivot Firebird back in summer 2022, then again during 2024. Those bikes were the prior generation, and I absolutely loved them. I rode those all over the Northwest. As for an enduro bike, the geometry and feel was one that crossed category lines. The outgoing Firebird was aggressive enough for the roughest of the rough, yet nimble and efficient enough for the less extreme and more common trails we find ourselves riding more often. While both generations of birds are among the most sought after enduro bikes, one comment in particular appears often, and it's about the length of the bike's rear end. You'd think, given the aggressive posture of this race-bred enduro rig, would have anyone visiting the Firebird's aviary to be excited for the snappy and aggressive posture of its hindquarters. But instead, we have a few very vocal folks clamoring for longer, more Cadillac, more mundane feel of a longer back end. On the outgoing model, Pivot did have size-specific chainstay lengths. For my size medium, the bike was 433 millimeters, and for the more common size large, Pivot settled on a 437 millimeter rear end. Now for the updated model, Pivot has added an option for a longer back end. I can stick with the 433 as I had on the old bike, or I can grow it all the way up to 441 millimeters. For size large, it's either 435 or 443. Given the amount of discussion of this one measurement online, I figured it'd be super fun to try these settings back to back.
Today we're gonna try all 8. Today we're gonna knock our bike over, and then we're gonna try all 8 different positions you can set this bike up in. Wait, 2, 2, 2, 8? Yes, it's factorial. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. I went through and did the math. For run number 1, I'm leaving the bike as I've been riding it in the slack angle, progressive suspension, and I do have the rear end in the longer chainstay position. Let's hit the GoPro button and get started. This test track is super fun. For us in the Northwest, this is kind of a faster trail. Yo! Fun, so fun. For an enduro bike, the Firebird is a great all-arounder. A lot of the times enduro bikes have so much travel, they're so slack and big, they're way more of a chore to pedal up hills like this than the smaller short travel bikes. The Firebird stays pretty light on its feet. Climbing wise, the bike still climbs great, even if it's in its slack, low bottom bracket position. Our Firebird Mega Geo comparison, that's my lack of a creative title. Now our first change, we're gonna leave the suspension progressive, we're gonna rotate the low-high position into the steep setting. Oh, and it's rotating that in there. All right, so Firebird is adjusted, our first adjustment of the day. We've gone to the steep head angle, high bottom bracket position, but we're still on progressive suspension, still on the long chainstay back end. Let's see how it works. Oh. This bike's so fun. Whoa. Nice. This thing is still real intuitive. That steeper head angle, I'm just noticing more weight up front, and it jumps a bit better than I remember the slacker setting. I kind of like this. That felt incredible. It's not a different world of bike feel. Still got a fairly short back end, but I did feel more weight up front and the bike just felt even more intuitive, felt easier to handle. And keep in mind, I'm not dialing these setups in fully. To really dial them in, you'd also continue to adjust your suspension, because with each geometry change, you're probably gonna ride the bike a little bit differently. And because of that, you might enjoy having more or less damping, more or less volume reducers, rebound, whatever it may be. So this is just dipping our toe into the pool of different bike feel. Speaking of pools and bike feel, lifeguard's on duty and we're gonna adjust this little life preserver here of progression for the rear shock. This means how hard it is to bottom out, at what portion of the travel it becomes more progressive. Now we're set up, steep head angle, linear suspension, long back end. All right, steep head angle, linear suspension, long back end. Yeah. Just got done riding this at the linear suspension setting, and that change from progressive to linear was less noticeable than any of the other changes so far. But it was good. I quite enjoyed it. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to get popped when I landed, that I bottom out, but the change was so subtle that it did not take it from progressive to unrideably linear. No, it was more subtle than that, and it felt good. I wouldn't mind riding this exact setup more and getting a feel for it on the rest of the mountain and in more real life scenarios than just one test track. But it's good to know that the linear progressive change is not necessarily the most significant of them all. We're gonna switch over to the slack head tube angle, and then we're gonna test linear suspension with the slack head tube angle. While we report back with our impressions, you can report back by scrolling down and hitting share and subscribe and like, those three. Thank you. That was terrible. Man, reverse thread bolts always feel so wrong. All right, so we're back to our low slack geometry, long back end, but linear suspension. So many things, I know. 3 adjustments, 8 positions. So the steep head angle feels more efficient on the climbs, but the slack one, the slack seat angle, is more comfortable for me. Not the most trendy take on geometry. Here we go, linear suspension, and then we're going slack head angle with the long back end. So dropping into this right away, something felt a little bit different than in the past. Oh my gosh. I am struggling a little. I don't know if I bottomed out, but I think I might have lost a few PSI on my back tire. It feels a little bit squishier than the front. This setup feels a little, not my favorite. I also just burped my back tire. Because this back tire did lose some air, I want to give this setup a second run, a second chance, before I just say, never ride it, poo-poo, delete that one. Here we are, still futzing with Presta valve cores, 100 years after their invention. Pumping, pumping, pumping. All right, round 2, we're repeating this. Oh. I am getting deeper into that travel sooner. More noticeable at this head tube angle though. Oh. I'm glad I gave this configuration a second fair try, because now I know I don't need to go back to that configuration. Not my favorite setup. The reason why, cornering and handling the bike and stuff, it's okay, but you start pushing into it and it gets more into the travel faster and sooner than I'd like. It's not as predictable. I did bottom out on a couple of the small little drops. Didn't feel as in control to me as when I had it in the more progressive setting. I preferred the steeper head tube angle with this suspension setup than I did the slacker. But all that said, now we gotta start doing this whole test again, but in the short back end configuration. And if you're gonna wear your Endura clothes while you do this, probably wear purple. The dexterity is unbeatable. Hashtag sponsored. So this is the long setting. They make some plug you can put in there, I don't care. And then you just rotate it, boom, short setting. Pretty easy. A lot of adjusting dropouts in the mountain bike world. Not many can work in both settings with the SRAM T-Type direct mount. Kudos to Pivot. So I organized this so that we'd only have to do the chainstay mount swap once, because this takes longer than everything else. You gotta adjust your brake mount, flip it around from long to short. We've been long, and now we're gonna go short. They don't really make medication for that. So right now we're at short back end with linear suspension and the slack head tube angle. Folks online talk endless smack on short chainstays. Folks in real life tend to prefer the shorter chainstays. I have found that the chainstay length alone is not as significant as we might believe. feels pretty good. I like that. So I just got down the hill from running the short chainstay setup for the first time today. Slack head angle, linear suspension. I've not yet tried linear suspension with the short chainstay, but that felt better than the long chainstay with the linear. Felt better in that I could pop off the little jumps and things more easily. Felt a little easier to get it in manual. Manual's slightly more twitchy, but not a big deal. But I kind of like the feel of the short chainstay. Now I'm gonna go to progressive rear suspension. So I've got the Allen key ready, and we are going to swap that bolt. All right, short chainstay, slack head angle, progressive suspension. This is how I mostly know this bike. Oh, feels like an old friend. Yo. Oh, that's predictable. I like that setup, it's good. The short chainstay, progressive suspension, slack head tube angle, and the bike really does very good with that setup. Yeah, it jumps easily. Suspension is still very sensitive, and for pulling it into a wheelie, it's totally doable. That said, we're gonna make another adjustment, and we're gonna go to the steeper head tube angle. So we're gonna have steep head tube angle, progressive suspension, and short back end.
All right, let's do this.
Yeah! Oh, nice. This feels good too. Fun, definitely a fun setup. That was a fun run. It felt really good. It felt easy to ride. It was easy to bunny hop into the first rock at the top. The corners were really on point and dialed. Floating through everything. It was easy to hop and pop and skip and jump, wheelie, all that stuff. I like it. I like it quite a bit. That might be my new favorite setup. Dude, I like the steep head angle now. Look at me, I'm a road biker. Steep head angles, yeah. I think the head angle adjust is the most noticeable, most extreme difference of all three adjustments on the Firebird. So yeah, steep head tube angle, suddenly I'm a fan. Let me get out my cheat sheet and I'll tell us what's next. Now we go to linear rear suspension. We move that bolt forwards. Last run, gonna be sad, gonna miss you all. These poor bolts getting played with the tongue. All right, another run, let's do it. Same place, same time. Harder to pop, still does pop. The grand finale, not in Italy. I should probably have a huge opinion here. Very strong statements do well on the internet. After trying all 8 positions possible, all 8 configurations, I have a few opinions that I can share. Number 1, the shock mount. That one, I definitely prefer the progressive, definitely over the linear. That last run in the linear mode, kicked forwards, I just bottomed out in places where I didn't think I really needed to, and where I didn't bottom out in the more progressive setting. The head angle, steep or slack, I'm kind of preferring the steep head tube angle. Our trails here aren't really super crazy high speed. The ones in Finale were much faster than what we have here. But here, the steep felt nimble and fun and playful. A little more clearance of the pedals only helped. But then, the elephant in the room, the chainstay length, the thing the keyboard warriors have gone to World War VII over, I don't think it matters that much. Short is more fun to pop. It's more jumpy. You can get more airborne to bunny hop and when you're compressing into a takeoff route, whatever. Is the long better? For really steep, really fast trails, I could see the long having a case of being somewhat better, but the difference was not night and day. You'd think 8mm would be enough that you definitely notice it, but you know, the geometry is a sum of all the parts, and that's one component of many, and I thought I would notice it much more than I did. Before I ride home, right now, I'm gonna pull out Mr. Allen, and I'm gonna unlock Spike's potential by sliding everything into the progressive setting. Huge thanks to Pivot for loaning me this bike. Thanks to Riley for coming out and filming and hopefully helping to edit this video. Thanks to all of you for watching. Check out that red subscribe button down below. Let me know in the comments how wrong I am about how this bike feels on our trails here. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace and wheelies, everyone. Hi. Smells. Hi. Hi, I smell like kitties. Hi.